Across the nation, 26 states are now seeing rising coronavirus case rates, and we're averaging more than 30,000 new cases a day. And while the federal government is ending funding for 13 testing sites in 5 states around the country, including 7 in Texas, where they hit another all-time high in COVID cases yesterday, the governors of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut are taking things into their own hands. They announced today they'll be requiring anyone coming into those states from coronavirus hotspots to quarantine for 14 days. There are also reports that the European Union is considering a ban on travelers from the U.S. altogether when it reopens its borders in a couple of days as a result of our nation's failure to control the spread. And all of this is making a lot of people, even here in Massachusetts, where transmission rates are among the lowest in the country, somewhat hesitant to head back into restaurants or the office, even though that's now allowed in many cases. Such are the findings of a new poll out today from Suffolk University for WGBH News, the Boston Globe, Mass Live, and State House News Service. As Suffolk pollster David Paleologos put it on Twitter, new world record for longest poll partnership name. Guinness, anyone? I think he meant the book, but maybe he meant the beer. He joins me now. David, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Can we cut right to the chase here? This is the thing about what people would be comfortable doing when it's allowed. And to sum it up, basically, the only thing people are really comfortable doing is seeing their family. 41% only eating out. Sporting event, 23%. That's almost the same as riding on a plane. Public transportation, 19%. And you know what's most amazing to me, David, about this? These are almost the exact same numbers as 2 months ago when you asked the questions, and things are a lot better now. How do you explain that static nature?
Well, people are things are a little bit better now because people are adjusting to the phase 2 and feeling a little bit better about their pocketbooks. But in terms of comfort level for these activities, and these are important activities, you're right. Those numbers are fixed, and unless there's a vaccine, I don't think those numbers are going to significantly change.
You mean, wait, David, you think for as much as potentially a year, people are still going to be hesitant to do some of the most basic things in our prior existence?
In our last poll, Jim, 1 out of 4 said that they, even if there was a vaccine, they wouldn't go to a sporting event or wouldn't ride the T. So there's a long way. You know, I mean, when you look at this, it's all about the vaccine date. But in the meantime, we have to look at the vaccine data. And that's the difference right now. Because without the vaccine, you know, it's going to be very hard for policymakers to figure out a way where people feel comfortable riding the T.
Right. So as it turns to schools, there's a pretty even split. Do you think K through 12 schools will be able to open in the fall, virtual dead heat? Is reopening schools worth the risk of more people getting coronavirus, a virtual dead heat? What do you take away from that?
Well, basically it's a split, and it makes life difficult for policymakers. Look, you know, when you've got a 44-46% split, who are you going to, you know, you're going to make enemies no matter what decision you make. What we notice behind the numbers is that, you know, there are people who are most reluctant, who don't feel it will be safe, are urban residents and black residents. Among those in Suffolk County, among those subsets, the numbers are 6 in 10 who say no, the schools will not be safe to return in the fall.
You know, Donald Trump famously or infamously once said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, wouldn't lose a vote. Well, obviously that is not true, as we're learning. It would be true if Charlie Baker had said the same things. His numbers, even in the middle of making some of the hardest decisions the governor has to make, are stratospheric. 81% approval on how he's handling the coronavirus, 74% approval on the reopening. Is it sort of like they trust this guy so much, doesn't matter even if you disagree with him, we trust him? Is that what it is?
Absolutely. It's stratosphere numbers. I mean, think about it. He's a politician that's been in office 6 years. 81%? Can you get 81% of people agreeing on anything? 74% in terms of the reopening. And, you know, in that 74% number, you have more pushback on the reopening among Republicans, not Democrats.
That's great. That's great.
It's pro-Trump Republicans who don't think Charlie Baker's Republican enough.
Yeah, all 7 of them in Massachusetts. So let's move to questions of race. Surprise me from the top. What's the most serious problem people in Massachusetts are facing? It's not unemployment or the economy. It's not the physical, mental health issues from coronavirus. It's racism. You just said a minute ago, and when do you ever get 81% on anything? Well, how about 85% in the state supporting the Black Lives Matter movement? Have you ever seen numbers like that before on issues of race in Massachusetts?
I mean, that kind of uniformity is powerful because the support is strongly support and somewhat support. The opposed the same, strongly opposed and somewhat opposed. So when you have an 85-10 split like that, you know it's not one particular demographic, it's everybody.
You know, a couple of more surprising things. Do you believe the color of your skin has ever helped or hurt you in your life? Not surprisingly, African Americans 57-11, yes, but whites 54-5 helped over hurt. That may be a reflection of what most of us have considered reality, but it's a level of self-awareness that I think is newfound. Is it?
Yeah, it is. And it was impressive to see that whites were able to come to terms with the fact that their skin color and just their skin color has helped them in their lives. This is an important first step as we begin to look at issues of racism and policing, which we also tested in the poll.
Yeah, briefly, I want to go through the policing stuff. Do you think police treat black people the same as everyone else? White respondents, 77-19, no. They feel better about police in their own city. And with the exception of the so-called defunding police budgets or reallocating, where there's a mixed bag, on things like qualified immunity, licensing police officers, overwhelmingly there is support for all these reforms. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And this is really rooted in the race issue of, do you think that police officers treat members of the black community the same as everyone else? That was a resounding no. And all of these data points, it's almost if, people through public opinion are handcuffing, to use a word, are handcuffing police. They want less money in the budget. They want to reduce the amount of police tools and tactics. They want police to be sued and a number of other situations. And, if you connect the dots, you've got a serious public relations problem for police departments, especially in urban areas.
Crying out for reform. We only have 30 seconds left. You may not even know the answer to this. I know it's not in your poll, but I don't know. Why has there been such a switch? We did this on the radio today, and we concluded 2 videos obviously helped a lot. The horror of George Floyd being murdered and Amy Cooper's verbal assault on Christian Cooper, the birder in Central Park, and it all flowed from that. Is that right in your estimation?
Young people historically have always been the catalyst for change, and you can't see it any differently than that. Young people in Massachusetts and across the country have taken matters into their own hands, and they've made it an issue. You couple that with the video, the George Floyd video, you've got a very dire situation that needs to be addressed by residents of all age categories and all political parties.
David, I want you to know I'm authorized to speak on behalf of all old people in Massachusetts, and I hereby say we're with those young people. David Paleologos, thank you again. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.